My dear students, good morning. Today, I shall be taking a chapter from your supplementary reader in English of Albert Einstein at School, that is written by Patrick Pringle. So let's start. The text is here on my screen. Albert Einstein, 1879 to 1955, is regarded as the greatest physicist since Newton. In the following extract from the Young Einstein, the well-known biographer Patrick Pringle describes the circumstances which led to Albert Einstein's expulsion from a German school. My dear students, in class 9th, you must have studied a chapter, A Truly Beautiful Mind. In that chapter, we learned a bit information about Albert Einstein and his schooling life. In this story, you will come to know more about Albert Einstein and how he used to look education as not accumulation of facts, but designing your ideas, having your own ideas is education. You will come to know about that right here. So let's start. The chapter commences with a discussion between a teacher and a student. Right. In what year, Einstein asked the history teacher, did the Prussians defeat the French in Waterloo? I don't know, sir. Why don't you know? You have been told it often enough. I must have forgotten. See the reply of Einstein, I must have forgotten. Did you ever try to learn? Asked Mr. Brown. No, sir. Albert replied with his usual unthinking honesty. He replied that no, sir. Why not? I can't see any point in learning dates. One can always look them up in a book. Mr. Brown was speechless for a few moments. You amaze me, Einstein, he said at last. Don't you realize that one can always look most things up in books? That applies to all the facts you learn at school. Yes, sir. Then I suppose you don't see any point in learning facts. Frankly, sir, I don't, said Albert. Then you don't believe in education at all? Oh, yes, sir, I do. I don't think learning facts is education. Right here. Next page, please. Okay. Now, as it appears in the next page, let us start our discussion. Yeah. In that case, said the history teacher with heavy criticism, perhaps you will be so kind to tell the class the Einstein theory of education. We'll be glad to hear the Einstein theory of education. So please tell the class your theory of education. What do you mean by education? You please tell the class. Albert flushed. I think it's not facts that matter, but ideas, he said. I don't see the point in learning the dates of battles or even which of the armies killed more men. I would be more interested in learning why those soldiers were trying to kill each other. That's enough. Mr. Brown's eyes were cold and cruel. We don't want a lecture from you, Mr. Einstein. You will stay in for an extra period today. Although I don't imagine it would do you much good. It won't do the school any good. Either you are a disgrace. I don't know why you continue to come. It's not my wish, sir, Albert pointed out. My dear, see, in this class here, in class 11th, you observe that a teacher says to a student that you are a disgrace. In class 9th, we read that Albert Einstein's headmaster said to him that whatever the profession you will choose, you will definitely fail in that. So no matter what the profession you will choose. So these kind of words a teacher should never utter. For a student. Right here. Let's discuss next. It's not my wish, sir, Albert pointed out. Then you are an ungrateful boy and ought to be ashamed of yourself. I suggest you ask your father to take you away. Albert felt miserable when he left school that afternoon. Not that it had been a bad day. Most days were bad now. Anyway, but because he had to go back to the hateful place the next morning, he only wished his father would take him away. But there was no point in even asking. He knew what the answer would be. He would have to stay until he had taken his diploma. Going back to the lodgings did not cheer him. His father had so little money to spare that Albert had been found a room in one of the poorest quarters of Munich. You will come to know the problems that Einstein faced when he was a student, the economic problems, instability, right? So poorest quarters of Munich, he did not mind the bad food and lack of comfort, or even the dirt and squalor, but he hated the atmosphere of slum violence. His landlady beat her children regularly, and every Saturday her husband came drunk and beat her. But at last you have a room of your own, which is more than I can say, said Yuri when he called round in the evening. At least you live among civilized human beings, even if they are all poor students, said Albert. They are all not civilized, Yuri replied. Did you not hear that one of them was killed last week in a duel? Duel means fight. In a fight. And what happens to the one who killed him? Nothing, of course. He is even proud of it. His only worry is that the authorities have told him not to fight any more duels. He is upset about this because he hasn't a single scar on his face to wear for the rest of his life as a badge of honor. And Yuri is saying, talking about these kind of people are civilized. How can you say that these are civilized when they are fighting with others without any reason? Exclaimed Albert. And these are the students. Well, you will be a student one day, said Yuri. Right, dear? Okay, now turn the next page. Okay, yes. We'll start here. Yes. I doubt it, said Albert glumly. I don't think I will ever pass the exams for the school diploma. He told his cousin Elsa. Now one day Elsa came, his cousin, and they were talking about the problems that Einstein was facing there at school, and he was speculating that he will definitely fail. He will not be able to pass the paper, and he will not be able to get the diploma, right? He told his cousin Elsa the same next time she came to Munich. Normally she lived in Berlin, where her father had a business. I'm sure you could learn enough to pass the exams, Albert, if you tried. She said, I know lots of boys who are much more stupid than you are, who get through. They say you don't have to know anything. You don't have to understand what you are taught. Just be able to represent it in the exams. My dear students, you see this Yuri's attitude talks about how in modern days, the present juncture also, many students in schools and colleges at the universities, they feel like. For example, if a teacher talks about the construction and working of a refrigerator in a class, the child didn't understand that. But what he will do or she will do, he will try to remember the facts, mug it up, and somehow will write in the examination to score good marks. So this is the scenario at the present juncture the students are doing with this. Same thing Yuri is also advising to Einstein that, see Einstein, there is no need to try to understand the facts. If you fail to understand, you mug it up and just omit in the examination. You write those answers in the examination and you will definitely pass the paper. That's the whole trouble, said Albert. I am no good at learning things by heart. You don't need to be good at it. Anyone can learn like a parrot. You just don't try. And yet I always see you with a book under your arm, added Elsa. What is the one you are reading? A book on geology. Geology? Rocks and things. Do you learn that? No, we have hardly any science at school. Then why are you studying it? Because I like it. Isn't that a good enough reason? So Einstein is giving a good reason why was he reading that text. He liked it and so he was reading that. Elsa sighed. You are right, of course, Albert, she said, but it won't help with your diploma. Apart from books on science, his only comfort was music, and he played his violin regularly until his landlady asked him to stop. That wailing gets on my nerves, she said. There is enough noise in the house, with all the kids howling. They were shouting, all the kids were shouting in his landlady's house. Albert was tempted to point out that most of the time it was she who made them howl, but he decided it was better to say nothing. Sometimes it is better not to say a single word, right? Albert was tempted to point out that most of the time it was she who made them whole, but he decided it was better to say nothing. I must get away from here, he told Yuri, after 6 months alone in Munich. It is absurd that I should go on like this. In the end, it will turn out I have been wasting my father's money and everyone's time. It will be better for all if I stop now. And then what will you do? Yuri asked. I don't know. If I go to Milan, I am afraid my father will send me back, unless. His eyes gleamed with a sudden idea. Yuri, do you know any friendly doctors? I know a lot of medical students, and some of them are friendly, said Yuri. Doctor? No, I have never had enough money to go to one. Why? Suppose, said Albert, that I had a nervous breakdown. Suppose the doctor would say it's bad for me to go to school and I need to get away from it. So Einstein is, my dear students, so what Einstein is actually doing, Einstein is planning to get a medical certificate that he is not fit for going to the school because of nervous breakdown, and he will flee from the school. And his father will not force him to stay in that school, right dear? So let's start the next page. Okay. I can't imagine a doctor saying that, said Yuri. I must try, said Albert, to find a doctor who specializes in nerves. There are plenty of them, Yuri told him. He hesitated for a moment and then added, rather reluctantly, means unwillingly, I will ask some of the students if they know one, if you like. Will you? Oh, thank you, Yuri. Albert's eyes were shining. Wait a moment. I haven't found one yet. Oh, but you will. And if I do, I don't know if he will be willing to help you. He will. See the confidence of Albert Einstein. He's saying that he will. Okay, declared Albert. I'm going to have a real nervous breakdown to make it easier for him. He laughed merrily. I have never seen you looking less nervous, remarked Yuri. A day or two at school will soon put that right, Albert assured him. Certainly, he had lost his high spirits when Yuri saw him next. I can't stand it any longer, he said. I really shall have a nervous breakdown that will satisfy any doctor. Keep it up, then, said Yuri. I found a doctor for you. You have? Albert's face lit up. Oh, good. When can I see him? I have an appointment for you for tomorrow evening, Yuri said. Here is the address. He handed Albert a piece of paper. Dr. Ernest Well. Is he a specialist in nervous troubles? Asked Albert. My dear students, let me stop here, and in the next class I will complete this chapter, and I request all of you to go through the content, find out the meanings of difficult words, and if you have any problem, convey the same to me. Okay dear? Thank you.